Hey, what's up, guys? This is Melvin here, and what's going on? Um, thing on Monday. Essentially, we're looking at various types of digital business and what are some of the things that you could do with regards to digital business. And so today, what I would like to do is to actually share with you a flywheel that I have been studying. And so what I've done is I essentially have taken that flywheel, I have deconstructed it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how the flywheel was being constructed. And once you have the idea, you have a sense of how it was being constructed, then you will be able to recreate or pick up the parts of the flywheel that can work for you. All right. And so, without any further ado, what I like to do is I'm just going to get to showing you the flywheel that we are going to be talking about. Okay. So, as you can see from my screen here, this flywheel it's actually taken from the unemployable.com. And actually, when you type in the URL sevenfiguresmall.com, you would actually be taken to this page itself. So, just to give you a bit of a context here, and why is it important that we are looking at this flywheel in specific? Number one, this group of people are the people that I have been following for some time. I have been watching what they have been doing, and with every release of their new products, I am actually, most times I'm actually a customer of their products itself. Reason is because I find that the quality of work that they produce, it's of a reputable level, which I deem to be of a high quality. And so I've been following them for I think more than 6 years now. And what I've noticed is the way that they have been launching their products. And Seven Figures Small, it's actually one of their latest products that they have launched. And in addition to that, the context that we're going to be seeing here, it's pretty much similar to what we have been talking about, that 1 person, 1 million all digital business. And so this is an example of the type of business that I am building and that you can also be building as well. All right. So if you have not watched Monday's episode, which we talk about the mental model, Tuesday episode, which we talk about the framework, and Wednesday's episode, which was yesterday, where we talked about the books that help shape the way I think when we look at a digital business, make sure you go back and check out those episodes itself because there are lots of gem in there. And of course, at any point in time, if you have got a question, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments. If you are on YouTube, the live chat is actually on, so we can actually go ahead and do this live chat together. Okay, so Seven Figures Small, it's the flywheel that we are looking at today. And the part of the reason that we're looking at this particular flywheel, it's because the idea behind this whole product is actually very similar to what we are working towards, that 1 person, 1 million all digital business. Number two, I have followed these people for quite a number of years. And so I know about their quality and I have been watching and studying and analyzing how they have been launching products after products after products. And and that's why I believe that this is one of the flywheel that we can look at. Now, what is the difference between an analysis like this compared to someone who are just telling you about looking at the marketing funnel? Well, the marketing funnel actually isn't quite different when you compare from one business to another. The the whole process is, it's more or less the same. However, if we are just looking at the funnel itself, it is as good as saying that when you buy a car, you are merely just looking at one aspect of it, which is fuel consumption. And while that may be important in helping you make a decision when buying a car, it's pretty different than thinking about what are the all the other factors that will shape your decision when choosing a car. I'm sure there are many other decisions other than fuel efficiency that would drive you to choose a particular car. So if you're looking for a something like a marketing funnel, breakdown, then this is not the kind of show for you. So here, what we want to think about is the flywheel. Now, the flywheel, in case you are not familiar, do check out the other episodes as well. But the whole idea with the flywheel is as follows. It's a series of steps whereby one step builds upon its preceding step. And so once this whole process starts going on, it starts building up momentum, it would actually lead to a breakthrough, right? So the way to think about this is that if you have the flywheel identify and you have the pieces of the flywheel identified and put in place early on, the amount of effort that you put in initially to build up to that minimum viable audience, once you have reached that level, because it is a flywheel and it's not just an automated system, because it's a flywheel, it will actually feed upon its previous step, and so it will grow out into something that it's huge. So people like to think of it as a growth hacking, but it's not exactly growth hacking because it's building something that is sustainable, profitable, and something that you and I could learn from, and we can replicate that. Okay, so the context of these people is that they have been, so Brian Clark is the brains behind this. And what they have been doing is they started off with this website called Copy Blogger. And later on, they started to experiment with other areas. One of which was they tried to create a network of podcasts, because right now, there isn't quite a search engine for podcasts, right? And so what they wanted to do was to create a network of podcasts, and from that network of podcasts itself, to create that flywheel effect, because one podcast would specialize on one aspect of a digital business, and another podcast will be specializing on another aspect of it. So as an example, one would be specializing in the area of personal branding, another one will be specializing in the area of social media, another will be on copywriting, for example. And so because as a small business owner, as a one person digital business owner, you will need to know about all these things. Now, whether you are the one who does all these things, that's another thing altogether, but you need to know all these things. And so the thinking behind that is that once someone discover one of the podcasts because of this related matter, it will actually have a spillover effect to the other podcast itself. And so when they started out this podcast, and this podcast was started out back in 2015, right? So as you can see, the first episode of this podcast started in 2015. And it was then when Brian Clark thought of this concept or this name called unemployable. So, although, in today's context, when you talk about being unemployable, you could think of someone who doesn't have the relevant skills and the needed experience to be able to succeed in today's new normal, right? And because of that, they are unemployable. But the other group of people who are technically unemployable, like myself, we just cannot be working for somebody else. We not just enjoy the LIFT freedom, but we also enjoy the fact that we have control over our own life. And so he started off with this concept of unemployable, and that's where he goes to talking about going from a concept itself to having the mindset, the skill set, right? The skill set. And then later on, as you can see from all these different episodes of the podcast itself, it starts diving into things like bootstrapping. How do you go from projects to products? So, like, most freelancers, they will start off working on projects, but projects are, it's not something that you could sell it as a bundle. It's not something that you can sell it as a package yourself. So that is where you want to move from projects to products. And it talks about, creating successful products with the MVP process itself. And so, as you can see, this entire conversation that they have, it's related to this one person digital business owner. And so, as a one person digital business owner, you really have to know, like, how do I, for example, how do I get paid in full, right? How do I actually, onboard new clients and do it in a smart way, in an automated way, right? How am I able to get information products and sell information products successfully? And so, as you can see, it has started building this group of audience itself. And so here, really, it's just them putting in the work and producing content, quality content, without having to produce original content itself. Because here is just thinking about topics or the topics that are relevant to a one person digital business owner, and just inviting people who are essentially experts in those areas to come on for a chat, and of course to share their know-how, their experience behind the particular area itself. And so what they have done, it's for the last 5 years or so. So in case you're thinking, like, can I do this like over the next 3 months and have a breakthrough? I'm not saying, I'm not ruling that out, but it does takes time to build this thing up. But once you have this solid thing built up, it's really going to create that level of it's really going to create that level of things for you. All right. So that is what we're looking at now. So with the last 5 years of building this audience, what they have done is they have amassed a group of people who have been, paying attention to what they do. And so after they have, done that successfully, they pivot to the next level. And the next level is really diving deep into this idea of is there a possibility to work with a group of people who are like-minded and to be able to help them achieve breakthrough in the area of creating a one person digital business owner, right? And so this is when they went on to launch the seven figures small um, short course. And so, in fact, if you had signed up here, right, as you can see, this next level seven is actually their free audio course. And so, when you go into when you come into this process itself, what happens is that you'll be presented with a compelling offer that will show you these six lessons that would help you discover, the fundamentals, the models, and the process of creating a seven-figure digital business, right? And so this whole idea is that how they kind of promoted it, at least from what I have known, is they started promoting it to their podcast audience. And of course, they go on other people's podcasts as well and they start spreading the word. So once they have people start opting in to this six free audio lessons, what they do is essentially they will then, for the next 6 days, you would actually get a series of emails from them. S- So, so the first email really is talking about, um, so in that case, I'm not going to go through all the six emails itself, but essentially there are six lessons, and each lesson itself talks about an area of, that this seven figures small digital business itself. And what I like about the whole process here is that, they send you an email, but they actually get you to click through to a page. And on that page itself, that is where they have a few things. One is, of course, they have the embedded audio lesson there. The other thing is that they actually have this entire thing transcribed. And so that works at a few levels. Number one is that this piece is a WordPress page. And being a WordPress page, what happens is that with all these keywords here, what does it do? It's gonna, adds up to the SEO itself, right? And so essentially for every lesson, you will be taken to a specific page on the website. Now, notice that when you go onto this page itself, you will, you if or rather if you go to their website itself, there is no way for you to actually um, go to that page, right? So those pages are actually hidden from the main website itself. So on the main website of Unemployable, there is no way for you to find through the navigation that six lessons by without opting in. So in order for you to get those six lessons, you actually have to you actually have to opt in. So each one they actually do this. Each one that it's an audio lesson, and with the audio lesson itself, um, they have it transcribed. And so I was wondering at the point in time, why did they choose to do an audio lesson and not a video lesson? And later on, I realized that the reason for them doing that, it's because when you enroll in the seven figure small intensive program and you get added to their community, what happened is that in that community itself, all the education, at least for the seven figure small intensive program, all the lessons are actually just audio lessons. So it's audio and transcript. And the reason why they have done it that way is because the people who have opted to take this course actually prefer that mode of learning. So what does that tell us? That tells us that people are not willing to sit in front of a computer and just watch a video and just listen, but they prefer to listen to the lesson and also read the actual transcript itself. And so that's pretty something that you want to take note here. So at the end of the lesson number six, they would actually make you an offer, and they would tell you that the seven figure small intensive training, it's open. They because they have onboarded some um, initial group of people. And so as a result of that, they managed to get some testimonials from here, as you can see, right? And so they added that there. And with that, they get you to click on the link. Of course, right now, what you are going to see is you are going to see an expired um, offer itself, right? And so in this offer itself, actually, what they were offering was a two-in-one. So essentially, they are saying that you pay for the seven-figure small intensive program, which is 490, or and you would actually get access to a 12-month. You will be given a 12-month access to their membership site, which is unemployable initiative. So the the thinking behind that was because they have had experience managing a community under copy blogger, and because of that managing the community under copy blogger, they've realized that people come for the content but they stay for the community, and that's something that you would want to consider as well. And so they are giving, like, it's the same price, 490. It's 1 year subscription to the unemployable initiative alone. Or you could pay for 490 for the seven figures more intensive, and you get 12-month access to the unemployable initiative. So you can think of, when you pay the 490, you are getting the cost for free because you pay for the membership, or you have you paid for the course and you get the membership for free, right? So whatever ways it works for you. And of course, they had at the point in time they had it as a limited offer, and they kept it at a particular price itself. But now, of course, if you go to training, you actually are able to, you know, directly sign up for this seven-figure small intensive program. So now it's slightly more expensive, 495, whereby they are doing this. So the whole idea behind that is that, so what happened was that I actually recently enrolled in that because I was given a pretty nice offer, and so I decided to take it up. And at the same time, I wanted to get a sense of how the entire community is run. And so as I look at this whole flywheel itself, first and foremost, it starts off with the audience, right? It starts off with the audience, having a group of people that are going to be responsive to the kind of content that you are going to put out. And what kind of people will be responsive to that kind of with with the kind of content that you're going to put out? Well, who anyone who needs to constantly learn new things or learn new ways to become better, anyone with that mindset itself, it's going to find this highly valuable, right? So they start with the audience, and of course, once they have this define the audience itself, then they look deeper into what are the topics that we're going to cover, right? What are the topics that we're going to cover? And then from the topics that they start to cover, they start creating content. But like I said, for you to create original content, it's going to be slow and it's going to be difficult. So what they have done here is they have actually leveraged other people's network to build that piece, to build a solid digital assets of 5 years worth of podcasts. And with that digital assets itself, it started to create, to build that, minimum viable audience. And with that minimum viable audience, that's where they start to communicate with them, start talking to them, and start building the relationship and start understanding what are some of their frustrations, what's keeping them up at night. And that's where they launch the seven figures small. But when they launched the seven figures small, I suspect they didn't want to just put it out in the open. They wanted to find out if people are keen enough to opt in for the 6 lessons, then obviously they are more willing to sign up for the seven figure small intensive. So, you know, other people may have just have a podcasting audience and then just announce to that audience and say that, hey, we got a course, sign up if you want to. But, with that, you might get people who would sign up but are not action takers. And so people who are action takers are people who have opted for the 6-part audio course. And then from there, they make an offer to them. And so if we kind of retrace back the flywheel itself, it's first, of course, to identify a group of people that you want to work with. Now, once you've identified a group of people, you have to understand them and find out what it's an area that they need help with that you can actually provide, right? And so once you have identified that they need this help and you are the one who can provide that, then there is an intersection of that would create that possibility for you to move to the next level. So once you know that the people who these people are, you know what the problems are, and you can actually solve their problem, that is where you can start putting out content to earn their attention and to earn their trust. And once you earn their attention and earn their trust, and you get the opportunity to interact with them, then that's where you make the offer. And then once you make the offer, that is where you want to bring them into a community. And that will be that thing that is going to give you that recurring revenue, right? And so 4 things that you will have to take note here. And this is going to be a common, hallmark of a successful digital business with a good flywheel. 4 things. Number one, an audience, a very, very well defined audience. Number two, a series of topics that always requires constant refreshing, right? A series of topics that always requires constant refreshing. That's number two. Number three, it's understand what specifically they need help with, right? Understand what is the problem, what they need help with, and then create a product and offer it to them. Okay, that's number three, create an offer. And number four, it's to build a community, right? Because once you build a community, you have these people and their captive attention. And once you have that, that is where you can have your flywheel going. All right. And so let me know whether this have been helpful in helping you understand the flywheel concept, and also if this has been helpful in helping you understand the idea of what constitute a flywheel, and what are some of the things that you can do in order to build one for yourself. If you have got a flywheel that you have identified and you would like me to deconstruct it for you, um, let me know, leave it in the comments below. And if this episode has been useful, give me a thumbs up. If you want more of such content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you again. Bye bye.